Hello world of YouTube and welcome to another episode of Redacted, the show where I took a look at albums that have a solid foundation but a spotty execution, bringing them together and making a holistic listening experience out of something. And this month I am doing a request, one made by my buddy Tyler, who requested me to do something a little different for this show, something more in line with the episode I did on Tech 9. When I first started doing the show, it was like the third episode. He wanted me to take a look at a handful of records from an artist and try to make a cohesive listening experience out of it without losing the artist's sonic character or making anything too jarring, given that the releases he put out have this different types of styles explored on them. And I feel like I accomplished that pretty well. It's a rapper that he's a gigantic fan of and one that I also really enjoy the output of, and felt that this was a pretty decent challenge to do. But again, I feel like I did it. I'm talking about the Florida juggernaut MC, one of the dopest rappers to come out of the back half of the decade, Denzel Curry. I'm going to be combining his projects Imperial, Taboo, and Zoo into one project that I'm going to call Zenith.
I'ma act 1, 2, 2 leather seats like a buddy. Catch me on the Zenith, that's the only time you'll see him. Televised, paralyzed, thoughts of paraplegic. Sit yourself down.
I also decided to do something more in line with what I did for my 9 Inch Nails Redacted, where I'm going to be doing sort of an alternate reality narrative to this project, where, you know, 9 Inch Nails, instead of dropping those 3 smaller projects across a year and a half, or 2 years, they instead dropped one album within a certain window and talked about the promotion of said project. Now for Denzel Curry, this is a little different because these projects were released across 3 years. Imperial came out in 2016, Taboo came out in 2018, and then Zoo came out in 2019. And all 3 projects have their own different type of energy, different type of production, and different flavoring, as it were. And my biggest focal point to tie all of these records together was more Denzel's performance. The instrumentals, some of them kind of pair really well together, but Taboo in particular, it's this more conceptual sonic piece with having this gradient of sound. You know, it starts off really soft and chill, and then evolves into something much more intense. And I try to keep bits of all of it in there and meld it together on this project. And in this alternate universe, what essentially happens is, after he drops Nostalgic and Zell 32 and those early projects, he kind of goes silent. He pulls an Andre 3000 and just drops features and singles across this time span. You know, he still drops singles for like ULT. All the singles that would have dropped from the Imperial era still happen, but he still drops features, he still drops singles, and he still just continues to build hype for himself as an artist, you know, prompting the creation of the hashtag, where is Denzel Curry? You know, lots of people on the blogosphere are tweeting out, where is Denzel Curry? He's a guy who has huge prominence in the scene. People are tagging this guy for features. He's amazing at what he does, and the singles he drops have been amazing. It continues to build. It continues to build. You know, you can argue that he drops a lot of stuff in the Taboo era still, some stuff that doesn't end up on this project, and, you know, continues to just generally build hype for himself. And then in 2019, which is when this album would conceivably drop, he drops a couple more singles. He drops Ricky, and he drops Speedboat. But he does so with the announcement of a record called Zenith, where it'll be kind of a culmination of his songs he's recorded since he's been doing this hype machine, and Zenith being like he is the apex of hip-hop. You know what I mean? That's kind of the narrative I built around this project. It's almost an hour long. There's a lot of Denzel Curry on here, but again, I'm pretty happy with it. Let's go ahead and go over the track listing.
Boy, we coming out the so your whole life is a mockery. I'm militant, mind on the milli. Gook. See me growing out my hair cause I look like a nigga from Bruises. Yeah, never let nobody get the one up on you. If they best in the rock pile up hella stacks when I wanna cry. I'ma make it rain. Fuck fans. Put him in his contact. Set out, I'ma hold the fort. Too big, they sumo. Pocket too big, they sumo. Bitch, I can't be touched. Get the product and we out the dope. Off a Trina tree, rig, and plies. When it comes in the ICU, intensive care unit. If a nigga tree from the bush and chronic, speaking honestly, we living in college. Back being broke cause mama need a crib. God said we never trust niggas. 2 rules in my house. Life is a bitch. I hear that life is a beast. Life is a...
So I debated on if I wanted to keep Zoo. Ultimately, the reason why I kept it on here is because it talks a lot about where he's from. It talks about the Florida scene. And for him to drop this record that is all about buzz and why he's the apex, he's also super about talking about where he comes from and his come up. He does that a lot in his music. And Zoo, you know, he's a Carol City dude. He reps Carol City. He reps that scene. And Zoo is just like a smaller sort of hype intro before he goes hard on ULT, which would, you know, bring fans in who've been following him since 2016, or even before that, who wanted to see him, you know, drop a project finally. So ULT and Gook, which are just 2 songs that show him going ham, show him being a little reflective, show him talking about the world at large, and they're both fire tracks from the Imperial era. Before kind of shifting gears a bit to Ricky, which again is a little reflective, but goes harder than those other 2 songs. It goes fucking hard. That beat slaps. Before pulling things back with Black Balloons. Again, a little reflective, a little more smooth, but it tones things down. You know, you had 2 bangers that were a little more cold in ULT and Gook before Ricky ramps it up to an apex. A little bit of a come down with Black Balloons that then bleeds really well into Speedboat. There's always a couple of transitions between songs on each Redacted where I'm like, that's so good. On the 9 Inch Nails one, it was the transition from the first half of the record to the second half into Burning Bright. Saturation, there was a couple of them in the Saturation one. And here, it's the transition from Black Balloons into Speedboat. Probably because those are 2 of my favorite Denzel Curry songs. But the interview at the end of Black Balloons bleeds really well into Speedboat, which is just a fucking banger. It is a pop smash banger. The hook, I've talked about that song to death, but I feel like to have that be, again, not a point of super intense ramp up, but to just kind of plateau, you know, keep the energy a little higher than on Black Balloons, but not super high, and just keep a catchy ass song in the midst. Before, again, keeping the tone a little mellow. Clout Cobain, it's a point where he kind of croons a little bit. He kind of sings his heart out on the hook of this song with some dark subject matter explored. Denzel's kind of a dark dude in the lyrics, so before really picking it up on Sick and Tired, where the energy goes back into full effect. He's keeping the darkness from Clout Cobain, but he's ramping up the intensity on Sick and Tired, where he's talking about visions of the dark and violent, you know? It's a lot more of a darker energy song. Before it goes even harder on P.A.T, which is a song with just this noisy instrumental that shows a little more of the super intense side that Denzel goes into from time to time that is also explored at later points on this project. But I wanted to have a point after some calmer tracks to kind of ramp up the intensity to an even bigger apex that kind of carries more over with Sumo, which is just a hard banger with a dark beat. I wanted to have this record kind of take you on a vibe journey, because Denzel, you know, while he goes hard, while he has bars, while he's a great spitter and utilizes instrumentals really, really well, he's also an artist to vibe to, and this project is all about coasting through waves of intensity. And I go from Sumo into Knotty Head to, again, kind of pull it back a little bit. Denzel still kind of, you know, gets some heat in the verses, but he sings the chorus. It's a little more pulled back. And I ride that wave into Carolmart, which is just a lot more of a laid-back, sort of buoyant song. The instrumental on that track, it fucking slaps, and Denzel rides it really, really well. It's got a nice hook. Before getting one more, because there's a hard song that we close out with, but one more hard song in the tail end of Vengeance, having a nice Peggy feature as well to kind of showcase that, yeah, he does ride with pretty much everybody. Because you got Rick Ross on here, you got Peggy, you got dudes like Gold Link in here as well. There's features on here, but they're in very different aspects, and it's to show Denzel's dynamics as an artist. As he still fucking owns Vengeance. Him and Peggy work really well together, and I'd love to see them work together again. I think Vengeance is a great fucking song. And it would have been one of the songs that he would drop in that era, just to kind of show that he's dipping into interesting lanes, to build up hype for this project that would have been, 3 years in the making. And then the next 3 songs are more, not bangers, but songs where Denzel goes hard in different aspects. On Sirens, he gets a little conscious. He talks, he goes a little hard, but it's not as hard as some of the tracks to follow to build up to the climax. Him and Jid just work really well together over this beat. Before switching into Automatic, a song where Denzel, works with a famous producer to just put out a slapper hit. This one's a little more banger-centric. There's some good bars in here. It's got a good hook to it that, again, isn't too intense, but fits really well over its instrumental before working with Joey Badass on the title track, Zenith. He gets super reflective with Joey Badass, and the two of them, again, pair really well together. He just fucking goes hard. Joey does his fucking thing, and it's a good song that shows Curry's prowess as an artist. Before closing it out, finishes Denzel with one more hard-ass song, Black Metal Terrorist, a song that he alluded to on ULT and is, again, one of the harder moments on this record. He closes him out with gnashing teeth to show that he is a fucking powerhouse of an MC. The song goes fucking hard, and he leaves you on the best note possible with that. And that's my Redacted on Denzel Curry. I know it's a little bit more of a different episode than a lot of the ones I've done, but I was up to taking the challenge that Tyler proposed, and I think it came together really well. If you'd like to listen to this playlist, it's linked in the description. I have a couple of Redacteds I'm working on. Over the next couple of months, I'll be rolling those out, obviously. But if you have a suggestion for one, and I have some suggestions in the wings that I'm also working on, leave it in the comments down below. There's a lot I want to do with this show, guys. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. I have so many different ideas involving not only just trimming records down, making records better with B-sides, or doing something like this. I have other shit I haven't even done yet before that I want to do with this show. I love this segment, and I hope you guys do too. And if you do, be sure to like this video. If you want to see more of my music, gaming, and general honorary content, be sure to subscribe. Special thanks to my patrons. If you would like to join their ranks, get early access to content, get exclusive content, and help drive the community, it's linked in the description. Also down there are my socials if you'd like to follow me anywhere else, and stay updated on things that I'm working on for the channel. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so very much for watching. I've been Viral Rack. You guys take the day's lives and situations, and I'll see you another day.